What if love conquered pride before pride could conquer love? What if Mr. Darcy had proposed to Elizabeth Bennet at the very moment he realised his feelings, before Mr. Collins ever darkened Longbourn's door? In our last tale, we saw Elizabeth sacrifice herself for security. Today, we explore what happens when she has the luxury of choice itself. Picture this: October 1811, the evening after the Netherfield ball. While the Bennet family recovers from the social triumph and disasters of the evening, Mr. Darcy sits in Netherfield's drawing room, brooding by the fireplace. But this time, something changes the course of his contemplation. Caroline Bingley, still smarting from Elizabeth's social success at the ball, begins her usual litany of criticisms. She mocks the Bennet family's circumstances, their lack of fortune, the looming entailment that threatens to leave them destitute. She speaks as if Elizabeth's eventual desperation will make her available to any gentleman who offers security. But instead of feeling superior, Darcy feels something entirely different: protectiveness. The thought of Elizabeth forced into a marriage of convenience because of her family's precarious situation fills him with an emotion he's never experienced before. And in that moment, he realizes the truth he's been fighting. This isn't mere attraction or passing fancy. This is love. That night, alone in his chambers, Darcy makes a decision that changes everything. He will not wait for social convention or proper timing. He will not allow Elizabeth's circumstances to force her into a practical marriage when he could offer her both love and security. This is not the proud, presumptuous Darcy who would later bungle a proposal so spectacularly. This is a man who recognizes that timing matters, that offering choice is more powerful than demanding acceptance, and that love requires courage rather than assumption. The next morning, he rides to Longbourn with a heart full of hope and a proposal that will change both their destinies. Elizabeth is walking in the garden when he arrives, not the formal parlour meeting that propriety demands, but a natural encounter that suits them both. She's surprised to see him, curious about his purpose, but not alarmed. There's something different in his manner, gentle rather than imperious, hopeful rather than certain. In the garden alcove where autumn roses still bloom, Darcy does something extraordinary. He proposes to Elizabeth Bennet, not from a position of superiority, but from one of genuine regard and acknowledged vulnerability. He tells her that he's come to understand his feelings are not mere attraction, but deep love. He acknowledges the differences in their stations not as obstacles she should be grateful to overcome, but as irrelevant to the connection he feels with her. He admits his initial pride, his struggle with social expectations, and his realization that she has changed him in ways he never thought possible. Most importantly, he makes it clear that while he can offer her security, he's not proposing to rescue her. He's proposing because he cannot imagine his life without her wit, her intelligence, and her remarkable spirit. Elizabeth listens with growing amazement. This is not the arrogant proposal of a man who expects gratitude. This is the vulnerable declaration of someone who has genuinely fallen in love and hopes, without assuming that his feelings might be returned. But Elizabeth, being Elizabeth, faces a dilemma. She's attracted to him, certainly. His proposal solves her family's problems, undoubtedly. But she values authenticity above all else, and she realizes she doesn't yet know him well enough to distinguish between love and gratitude in her own heart. What Elizabeth does next revolutionizes their entire story. Instead of accepting immediately or refusing outright, she proposes something unprecedented, a proper courtship. She tells Darcy that while she's honored by his proposal and not indifferent to his addresses, she believes they should know each other as they truly are before making such a momentous decision. She suggests a courtship period where they can spend time together without the pressure of an immediate decision, where she can observe his character and he can be certain of her feelings. Darcy's response reveals everything about his transformed character. Instead of being offended by her conditions or impatient with the delay, he's delighted. He recognizes the wisdom in her proposal and the courage it takes to demand genuine courtship in an age when marriages are more often matters of convenience than choice. They agree to an engagement not to marry, but to court properly. It's a revolutionary arrangement that gives them both the freedom to choose each other authentically. The Bennet family's reactions reveal how different this proposal is from any they might have expected. Mr. Bennet, initially skeptical of any suitor for his favourite daughter, finds himself genuinely impressed by Darcy's approach. Here is a man who respects Elizabeth enough to court her properly, who doesn't assume his wealth entitles him to immediate acceptance. Mrs. Bennet experiences her typical hysteria of joy, followed by confusion about why Elizabeth doesn't marry immediately when such an advantageous offer is on the table. But even she comes to appreciate that Darcy's respect for Elizabeth's wishes speaks well of his character. Jane, always Elizabeth's closest confidant, supports her sister's wisdom while marvelling at the romance of it all. The younger sisters are simply impressed by the drama and grandeur of having Mr. Darcy of Pemberley court their sister. But the most significant reaction comes from an unexpected quarter, Charles Bingley. Seeing his friend's courage in pursuing love across social boundaries gives him the confidence to openly court Jane, whom he's admired from afar but hesitated to pursue due to her family's circumstances. What follows is perhaps the most beautiful courtship in all of Regency England. Instead of overcoming pride and prejudice, Elizabeth and Darcy spend their time building genuine intimacy and understanding. Darcy reveals his true character not through crisis and revelation, but through consistent kindness and genuine regard. Elizabeth watches him interact with her family, patient with her mother's absurdities, respectful of her father's intelligence, kind to her younger sisters, and genuinely supportive of Jane's budding romance with Bingley. She sees him with the tenants and servants at Netherfield, observes his loyalty to his friends, and witnesses his efforts to improve himself not from shame, but from genuine desire to be worthy of her regard. Without Wickham's lies to cloud her judgment, she sees Darcy clearly from the beginning and finds herself falling genuinely in love. For Darcy, the courtship is a revelation of Elizabeth's true worth. Her intelligence challenges him, her wit delights him, and her integrity inspires him. He discovers that winning her respect means more to him than commanding her gratitude. They walk together through the changing seasons, from autumn's golden beauty through winter's quiet contemplation to spring's hopeful renewal. They read together, debate philosophy, discuss literature, and share their dreams for the future. It's everything a proper courtship should be, and so rarely is. Of course, not everyone approves of this unprecedented match. Lady Catherine de Bourgh, learning of the courtship, descends upon Longbourn like an avenging fury. She demands that Elizabeth renounce her claim on Darcy and remember her proper place in society. But this Elizabeth is not the desperate young woman who might have accepted Collins for security. She's a woman being courted by a man who values her exactly as she is. She faces Lady Catherine's intimidation with calm dignity, making it clear that her understanding with Darcy is based on mutual regard, not social climbing. Lady Catherine's interference backfires spectacularly. Instead of intimidating Elizabeth, it only demonstrates the difference between genuine nobility of character and mere aristocratic presumption. Darcy, learning of his aunt's visit, is furious at the insult to Elizabeth and uses the occasion to declare his absolute commitment to their courtship. Caroline Bingley's increasingly desperate attempts to discredit Elizabeth only serve to highlight her own petty jealousy and make Darcy more protective of the woman he loves. After months of genuine courtship, when spring arrives and the roses bloom again in that same garden alcove where he first proposed, Darcy asks again for Elizabeth's hand. This time she accepts with complete certainty and joy. Their engagement is announced not from desperation or social pressure, but from mutual love and genuine understanding. Their wedding is a celebration of choice triumphant, two people who chose each other freely and completely. The ripple effects are beautiful to behold. Jane and Bingley marry without obstacles, their path cleared by the example of true love, conquering social expectations. The Bennet family rises in social standing through genuine affection rather than desperate necessity. Mr. Bennet gains a son he can truly respect. Mrs. Bennet achieves her dreams through her daughter's happiness rather than her sacrifice. Elizabeth becomes not just the mistress of Pemberley, but a beloved figure in Derbyshire society. She brings her wit and intelligence to bear on estate management, tenant welfare, and social reform. Darcy finds himself not just gaining a wife, but a true partner who challenges him to be his best self. Most remarkably, their love story inspires others. Other young women see that they need not settle for security without affection. Other young men learn that true connection requires vulnerability and respect. In this timeline, timing changed everything. One act of courage, one moment of choosing love over pride, created a completely different story. Sometimes I wonder if love always knows the perfect moment to speak, if we would only have the courage to listen. In our tale, Elizabeth got both love and security, but more importantly, she got them through choice rather than necessity. But what if even this perfect timing had been interrupted? What if Wickham had succeeded in his plans for Elizabeth before Darcy ever arrived? Next time on What If Austen. What if Wickham had eloped with Elizabeth instead of Lydia? Where one man's villainy changes everything. What would you have done in Elizabeth's position? Subscribe to What If Austen for more alternate paths through my beloved Regency world.